Right, so here is the vacuum dressing pump. So this bit's going to have, if you're squeamish at all about, there's not going to be any gore. There's just going to be uncomfortably coloured chunks of person. And also, I'm sitting here in my shorts. So, this here's the vacuum pump. Oh, by the way, I'm in my office, which is the master bedroom. Got my laptop here. I'm at work currently. So here's the vacuum pump. So this generates a negative pressure of 125 millimeters mercury because this is a medical thing. And so it puts this into a slight vacuum, and that vacuum is transmitted along this pipe. This pipe is, brace yourself, connected to my foot. So we can see here there's this plastic sheet stuff glued to my foot, and then there's this little suction cup thing that connects to the hose, and then there's this black stuff, which is not rotten flesh, but an open cell polyurethane foam. So I think it's polyurethane. It's an open cell foam. So you see this strip down here, that is actually packed into the wound. So you can see it's got a bit of a divot to it. So this is the state it is in 6 weeks, almost 6 weeks after the surgery. So it used to be much bigger. The wound used to be like that big, but due to the vacuum dressing, it's shrinking the wound down, and so now it could, when it started, it could fit a D-cell battery roughly, and now it could fit a AAA battery just. So the point of the vacuum dressing is to keep the wound from getting excessively wet. So it pumps out fluid, exudate, via this pipe. And also it provides the negative pressure, which helps in a few different ways, to my understanding. It helps the sort of meat regrow by having small scale pressure on individual cells that are growing in via the foam. So it helps the meat grow in, helps the muscle, and helps the fat tissue regrow, and it also provides an overall sort of wide scale force to sort of draw the wound closed. So I've got no stitches in here, and yet the wound is about 6 millimeters wide when it used to be 30. So it's healing it up. So this pipe here has got a big channel down the center, but it's also got, I don't know if that's coming across on the video, it's got 4 smaller channels that are inside the walls, and so it uses those as a pressure feedback. So this pad here has a central opening down into the foam where it sucks the juice out, but it's also got this fine spider web of smaller tubes that radiate out from that, and that's part of the system that verifies that it's not blocked. So this pump here actually has 2 ports. It's got one that provides the gross pressure just to slap the juice up, gross. But the 4 little tubes that you can see inside the walls there, if I rotate it around you can sort of see them. I'm not sure if that's in focus. They are connected to a separate little void here that is connected to a separate vacuum port. So it's able to put vacuum on the center of the hose and then confirm that that vacuum pressure is reflected in the sense lines, essentially, that run down the length of the pipe. It's extremely clever. This thing is a marvel of medical engineering. I would love to learn more about how it works. It's pretty overbuilt. It's got a touchscreen and an LCD, and the LCD stays on constantly. It's got a battery built in, so it can be you can go without charging it up for a couple of days. Longest I've been is about 30 hours, and you just charge it off 12 volt DC power port. So this canister here is fresh. When I first got out of hospital, this was full up about halfway, and then it filled up a bit more with just sort of human goo, and there's a little baggie of absorbing material down there. I won't flip it over and show you the goo, just in case you're sensitive to that stuff, but there's only a ton of little dribble in the bottom there. So as the wound's healed, it's got less and less fluid in it. But it's got a USB-A socket over here somewhere. I think it's under that cover there. I won't pull it off, which lets you export logs. So this maintains a history of therapy events. So when it was turned off, what pressure it was set to, and so on. So I have to turn it off half an hour before the dressing gets changed. And then it gets turned back on and it records all those events in there. The timestamp's off by a little bit, but whatever. So that's that. Marvelous thing here. I mentioned dressing changes. They are awful. So the process is the nurse comes to my home, for which I'm incredibly grateful, rather than having to go to a hospital. Every single nurse has been amazing. They take such good care of me, and I'm very, very grateful for them. So they come along and they peel off the dressing, and they pull the foam out of the wound, and then they give the wound a little scrub with some saline on a bit of gauze, and then they stuff some more foam back into the wound, and then they stick the plastic over the top, and then they cut a little hole in the plastic, and then they stick the suction cup on. So this is profoundly painful. It varies a lot. Initially, it was way worse, but now that the wound is a lot smaller, it's not as bad, but it's still pretty horrible. I take some opiate painkillers about half an hour before the dressing change to help take the edge off that, but even then, it's still pretty not great. I would really prefer not to have to do that, but you do every 3 days. So I've got a couple of bits and bobs here. So this is a fresh canister. That's what they look like when you pull them out of the box. So they change those as needed, or once a week. So otherwise I guess they start to ferment and you end up making sort of human mead. But yeah, they come with a hose attached, and they just click onto the side there, and they connect through via a little filter into the vacuum side of that thing. And here's one of the dressings. This is a huge one, but this is a sterile pack. It comes with the foam in there that they trim with a pair of scissors until it is the right shape to fit inside the wound. You can see the suction cup there. And then inside the bag there's a heap of this surgical drape, I think is what they called it. But it's marvelous. I've got a heap of spare bits down in here. But, that's not what that is. Let's see if I can find a little bit. A lot of scissors. Every time they change the dressing, they use 2 pairs of sterile scissors. And then I asked just to keep them in my bag here. My bag of bits. So this stuff is incredible. So it's a sticky plastic sheet. It's very, very, very thin. That's what you can see stuck all over here. So it's very thin, very flexible, very stretchy, but it's got a really clever system for how they apply it. So the thin plastic film is in between 2 layers of plastic that are peeled off during application, and that solves a couple of tricky problems when it comes to applying this stuff. Because the plastic is so thin and stretchy, it would be easy to overstretch it as you're applying it. So the way they solve this is that they have 2 layers, one on either side of the stuff that actually ends up on your foot, or over the dressing, over the vacuum foam. So the inside layer, you peel that off, and that reveals the sticky surface. And so you peel this back, you slap it onto the wound. These all come in the sterile bag, so these ones are not sterile anymore. So you peel off side one, and then you stick it over the wound where it needs to go, and then you peel off the other side, and then you tear this little blue strip off, and then you're done. So what this does is this side stops this sticking to everything when it's in the packaging. That's, half the course. But the second layer adds mechanical strength to the drape before, so you don't end up overstretching it as you're applying it. And I think that's really clever. Someone really thought hard about that, and they come up with a good solution. So credit to them. But yeah, I hate this thing. I hate it really bad. Dread dressing changes, and it just makes you uncomfortable all the time because you've got this little thing sloping away at your foot all the time. But the results speak for themselves. Okay, bye.